In public health, we have public health epidemiologists, we have public health nutritionists, we have public health, a lot of different public health fields. I understand that, but why don't we have maybe a public health existentialist, a public health philosopher, somebody who starts thinking more in this field about purpose in life, meaning in life? I guess that's what I've become in my career. So we'll talk about that over these next 4 weeks. And I'm just super excited to share with you some of this amazing research that's now coming out, but also frame it in terms of the philosophy. So, something that you might be asking yourself, and many people ask, is who is this course for? What kind of people should be taking a course like this? And I have to say, and this will be a little bit of an odd answer, is human beings. If you're a human being, chances are this course is relevant to you in some way. Let me share with you the kind of human beings in particular there's a lot of research on. One is at work. We know that having meaningful work is really important. So we'll talk about the importance of having and finding purpose at work. We'll talk about work-life balance and how very often we have purposes that diverge. I might have a really strong work purpose, but I also have a strong family purpose. How do I balance those things? We'll even talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion issues and how having a strong purpose helps you transcend some of the fears that some people have about diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. How about school? So many of you are in college now, even in high school maybe. So how do you design your life now? How do you think about your early career, the next steps in your career? Purpose is really, really important to that. So we'll get into that in greater detail. How about a family? Can a family have a purpose? Absolutely. A family can be the unit of purpose. And also individuals in a family may be taking care of other individuals in that family, whether it's taking care of your parents or taking care of your children. How do you raise those children, or how do you take care of a person so that you feel that your life is still very purposeful? And how do you instill in them a way to build greater purpose and meaning in their lives? How do you age with purpose? That's like a super important and very challenging thing for people because, in general, as you age, purpose tends to decline unless you start doing something to repurpose yourself. So we'll get into that. People who are chronically ill or who have mental health issues, getting back to the why of how to take care of yourself, the purpose underlying what you need to do is really important. So for people who have chronic illnesses or some sort of mental health type of issue, purpose in life is a really, really important thing to be thinking about more. And then finally, like my own story, trauma, grief, going through things that are very difficult. And by the way, I am nothing special when I talk about my own grief, my own traumatic experience that I had in losing my daughter when she was 19 years old. I am nothing special. I give a lot of talks around this country and around the world, and in every single talk I give, people come up afterwards and say, I've lost my child, or I've lost my husband, or I lost my father recently. People go through grief. They go through trauma all the time. That is nothing special. In fact, if you've lived long enough, this is going to be the norm. It does happen to people. So how do you get through that and maybe even grow from that trauma and grow from that grief? We will be talking about that too. So in other words, purpose in life and this course is for human beings. It's very important. And I like to think of purpose related to a tree. And if you view a cross section of a tree, you see the rings on the tree. Purpose can be in those early stages of the tree, like if you're in high school or college, when you're an adolescent, when you're just thinking early on about your life. It could be when you're getting married or finding a partner. It could be when you're getting that first job or when you get to a new job. It could be when you're building a family. Could be when you get sick or when a loved one gets sick. It could be when you lose a loved one, somebody very close to you. It could be when you retire. All of those things are important. And again, getting back to this tree analogy, imagine, and a lot of people do this isn't anything special, but imagine your root system as kind of the source of your purpose. Your purpose is like the roots in your tree, and your tree is your life and how you live your life. Very often, how we live our life starts to diverge from our purpose, right? From our core values, what matters most. We end up finding ourselves kind of lost, kind of distant. What we tend to do, if we can remind the person, if we can self affirm, remember what your purpose is, remember what your core values are, there's a tendency of trying to move that tree back. We call this cognitive dissonance. And of course, you could imagine the root system all shifting over to where your life is. Let's say you become a chronic gambler or become an alcoholic or something like that. You could move your whole root system and go, I love gambling, that's my purpose, or I love drinking alcohol, that's my purpose. Well, of course you might do that, but chances are you're going to be trying to push your life, how you live your life, back to your core purpose and your root system. So making sure that root system is super strong and magnetic is what we're going to try to do in this class. And we'll talk about that for how you can help yourself and how you can help other people as well. So my own purpose, or part of my own purpose, is to actually help over 1 billion people become more purposeful. Now that's a big job, 1 billion people, and I certainly haven't reached it, and I may not reach that in my lifetime. It's an aspiration. It's what I'm seeking in the future. It's a future goal that I have that's part of who I am now. It's a value that I care about, and it's part of me, who I am. But in order to reach that big goal that I have, I've written a few books. I've written a graphic novel called On Purpose. And in fact, the beginning of this class where I showed those images, they came from this graphic novel. Also, I read from the first chapter of this book called Life on Purpose. Also, I created an app. This app is called Purposeful. And this application, which is available on smartphones, like iOS smartphones and Android smartphones, as well as the web, this application helps people become more purposeful. And this is a way that we can reach a lot of people because it's not that expensive to move electrons around, which is all an app really is about. But I want to share the app with you as you are going through this course. You don't have to use this app. You can use paper and pencil in our exercises or do whatever you like, really. That's fine. But I do want to encourage you to at least consider using this app. So a lot of the features in this app reflect the exercises and certainly the general content of this class. And it's a pretty fancy application. It helps you identify, what do you like when you're at your best? What are some steps I need to take in order to find my purpose? How about other people? How do I reflect what other people's best selves are, for example? Best self in my life or best self at work? It starts looking at those kinds of issues. So welcome to Life on Purpose. Really looking forward to having you here. And we'll start the class.